I was speaking to a friend the other day, and as I'm sure you can imagine, when you are a matchmaker and dating coach, your friends do tend to come to you with, problems about the dating lives or the love lives in general. And she said to me, Abby, I just want to know, how can I tell if he fancies me or not on this first date that I'm going on? And I said to her, what do you think are the signs of, someone fancying you? So I put the question back to her, and she said, oh, I don't know, like he'll be, he'll compliment me. He'll be like laughing at my jokes, and he'll be asking me questions, and, he'll want to know the answer. Maybe he'll ask me on a second date whilst I'm still on the first date. I've read that that's a really good sign. If you go onto a first date and you are looking for these signs, these magical signs that they fancy you, and the signs aren't there, how is that going to alter your behaviour? Are you going to become a bit insecure? More insecure than you maybe already are? Because if you're already in that headspace of, do they fancy me? I don't know, I'm trying to work it out. Is he blinking at me in a certain way? Is he, can he not take his eyes off me? Whatever that thing is that you're looking for, if it's not there, it might throw you off. Someone could be on that first date with you and doing all of these things, touching you, flirting with you, complimenting you, laughing at all your jokes, and still not actually fancy you. Conversely, they could be sat on the date, they could be fidgety, they could be looking away, they might be struggling to make conversation with you, and they actually do fancy you. It doesn't mean that anything's going to come of it, even if you both fancy the pants off each other. So really, we're focusing on the wrong area here. If you go onto a date and you turn up and you don't fancy them, it does not mean that you will not grow to fancy them, and vice versa. We all operate very differently. You should be going onto your first dates with a couple of goals. One, to find out whether you have any values that are remotely similar. Two, to find out whether you feel comfortable around this person. And three, to enjoy yourself on the date. Forget the outcome. If we become so fixated on the outcome of a date, we won't enjoy the actual date. Become a reverse paranoid. So a paranoid person thinks, the whole world is against me, everything's going to go really wrong, and thinks about things in a very negative way. A reverse paranoid person sees any kind of mishap or, barrier as something that is part of the process to get them from where they are, which I guess is single, to where they want to be, which would be maybe in a healthy long-term relationship. So if something goes wrong on a date, a reverse paranoid person isn't going to be jumping to, this is awful, get me out of here, where is the nearest toilet with a lovely window for me to jump out of. They won't be thinking like that. They'll be thinking, do you know what, this is all part of the process, and they'll have just a different, more optimistic view on whatever occurs on the date. They don't see obstacles as catastrophes. They don't see rejection as the absolute worst thing that can ever happen. They don't get sucked into a cycle of negativity within their own minds. So instead of going on to dates worrying about things like, will I fancy him and will they fancy me? I want you to go onto that date knowing that you're part of a process that will lead you towards meeting someone that you'll end up in a long-term relationship with. So instead of thinking that if things go wrong, this is terrible, think, if things go wrong, I can learn from this, this is awesome. Next date, I might be on a date with someone who I have more chemistry with. If we focus more on just enjoying the date and letting it just evolve naturally, rather than on the outcome of, do they fancy me or do they not, then we're going to come across as more attractive than that person who's analysing the blink rate and the body language and the level of compliments that have been showered their way.